Mr. Honda, I'm sorry, these do not meet our standards. Which standards specifically? The tolerances are wrong. The metallurgy is inconsistent. These cannot go into our engines. I worked on these for 2 years. I slept in my workshop. I have nothing left.
I understand. I'm sorry.
I'll fix them. Mr. Honda, I said I'll fix them.
He walked out of Toyota's headquarters with rejected piston rings in his hands and no money left to his name. His life savings were gone. His wife had sold her own jewelry so he could keep working, and the engineers had laughed at his design in front of the entire room. On the train back to Hamamatsu, a man who had never once considered quitting sat in silence and thought about everything he had done wrong, because he already knew what he needed to do next. This is the story of Soichiro Honda and of Honda Motor Company, and of how the most publicly humiliated engineer in Japan became the man who built the most successful motorcycle in the history of the world. He was born on November the 17th, 1906, in Tenryu, a small farming village in Shizuoka Prefecture at the foot of Mount Fuji. His father Gihei was a blacksmith who repaired bicycles on the side. His mother Mika was a weaver. They were poor, genuinely poor, the kind of poor where 5 of Soichiro's siblings died young from illnesses that a better income might have treated. The family scraped together what they had and made it do what they needed, and the children watched their parents work with their hands every single day and understood that the world did not offer anything on credit.
You want to know what's wrong with it?
The chain is worn. But that's not the problem. The problem is the sprocket.
How do you know that?
Because the chain would wear more evenly if the sprocket was right. It's wearing on one side. That means the sprocket is out of alignment.
Go get me the wrench. The small one.
When Soichiro was 8 years old, he heard a strange sound rumbling through his village, a sound he had never heard before. He followed it into the road and came face to face with a Ford Model T, the first automobile he had ever seen in his life. He ran after it as fast as he could. He did not think about why. He simply ran, because something in his body understood, before his mind could form the words, that this machine was going to be the most important thing in his life.
I could not understand how it could move under its own power. And when it had driven past me, without even thinking why, I found myself chasing it down the road as hard as I could run.
He was useless at school. He forged his father's stamp on his report cards to avoid showing him the grades. He skipped class to work in the bicycle shop. He was punished, kneeled without food for entire days, and learned nothing from the punishment except that the cost of doing what interested him was bearable, and the cost of doing what didn't interest him was not. In 1922, at the age of 15, he saw a magazine advertisement for an automobile repair shop in Tokyo called Art Shokai, and without telling his parents what he was doing, wrote them a letter asking for a job. When Soichiro arrived at Art Shokai, the owner, Yuzo Sakakibara, looked at the 15-year-old standing in his doorway and made a decision that felt, at the time, like common sense.
You're very young and small. I don't have a position for you as a mechanic.
What do you have?
I have a baby who needs looking after, and a workshop that needs cleaning.
I'll take it.
You understand you won't be working on the cars. Not yet.
I understand.
He cleaned the workshop every morning. He carried the owner's child on his back while the mechanics worked on the engines around him, watching every movement, memorizing every tool, absorbing every conversation. He had no formal role in the repair work. He simply refused to leave until he had one. Within months, the volume of work overwhelmed the shop, and Sakakibara pulled Soichiro onto the floor. Within a year, he was the most skilled young mechanic in the building. Within a few years, he was racing cars that the shop had built, including the Art Daimler, which took first place at the 5th Japanese Motor Car Championship in 1924, with Soichiro as the accompanying engineer.
You're not just a mechanic, Honda. You understand why the car wins, not just how it works. The engine and the driver have a conversation. If you listen to both of them, you hear what's wrong before anything breaks.
By 1928, Sakakibara trusted him so completely that he sent the 21-year-old to open and run a new branch of Art Shokai in Hamamatsu. Soichiro arrived in a city where nobody knew him, and nobody wanted to trust their car to someone so young.
How old are you? Old enough to fix your car.
That's not an answer.
Bring it in. If you don't like the work, you don't pay. That's an answer.
He had one employee. Within a few years, he had 30. He was a brilliant mechanic and a terrifying racing driver, building the Hamamatsu race car inside his own shop and setting a speed record of 120 kilometers per hour that stood in Japan for 20 years. And then, in June of 1936, he crashed. The accident left his left arm fractured, his shoulder dislocated, his face damaged. He spent months in hospital. He returned to the racetrack 4 months after the crash. His wife and his father fought him on it, argued, pleaded, demanded. He raced anyway. The following year, after one final argument his family would not let him win, Soichiro Honda gave up racing for good. And with that door closed, another one opened.
I want to make piston rings for Toyota.
We know nothing about piston rings.
I know they're worth more than silver right now. And I know I can figure out how to make them if I have enough time.
Do we have money?
Not enough. Not yet.
He pawned her jewelry. He opened a small research workshop alongside his repair shop, working by day on other people's cars, and by night on piston ring designs he did not yet fully understand. He slept in the workshop. He lost so much weight his face became unrecognizable. He enrolled as a part-time student at the Hamamatsu Industrial Institute, a 30-year-old mechanic sitting in engineering classrooms alongside students half his age, taking notes on metallurgy because the school's professors had laughed at his piston ring designs and he needed to know exactly why they were wrong.
Mr. Honda, you said you need to understand die casting. What specifically? Why my rings crack under heat stress. And what's your current method? Pouring molten metal into a die mold. The density is inconsistent when you do it that way. You need to control the cooling rate. That's the variable you're missing. Say that again.
He went back to the workshop. He rebuilt the design from the metal out, controlling every variable the professor had identified. 2 years later, he walked back into Toyota's offices with a new batch of piston rings. He had nothing left to risk. The jewelry was gone, the savings were gone. The dignity of the first rejection was still raw.
Mr. Honda, these are considerably better. I know. They meet our standards. I know.
Toyota gave him the contract. Soichiro needed to build a factory to supply it, but Japan was preparing for war, and concrete was almost impossible to source. He invented his own concrete-making process, working through nights with a team of friends, testing different ratios of material until they found a formula that worked. He built the factory. Toyota's order began flowing through. He employed 2,000 people, and then the bombers arrived. In late 1944, American B-29s struck Hamamatsu. 2 direct hits destroyed the factory Soichiro had built with invented concrete and borrowed time. He stood in the rubble of what had taken him 7 years to build and told nobody how he felt, because there was nobody left who needed to hear it. He salvaged what equipment he could from the ruins. 3 months later, in January 1945, the Nankai earthquake struck the region and collapsed what little remained standing. Japan surrendered in August 1945. Soichiro sold the ruins of Tokai Seiki to Toyota for 450,000 yen, a number that would have seemed extraordinary 4 years earlier and felt like ash in his hands now, and took what the newspapers called a well-earned rest.
I'm not resting. I'm thinking. About what exactly? What Japan needs more than anything right now. What people cannot do without. Transportation. Everyone needs to move, and nobody has petrol anymore. I found a generator engine from the army, one they used for radio equipment during the war. I've been studying it. What are you going to do with a generator engine? Put it on a bicycle.
In 1946, with a staff of 12 men working in an old warehouse, Soichiro Honda attached a generator engine to a bicycle frame. The motorbike that resulted was rough and simple and worked. The streets of post-war Japan, full of people who could not afford cars and could not find petrol for the few that existed, were exactly the market it needed. Orders came in from across the country. Soichiro ran out of surplus army engines. He designed his own. In 1948, he founded the Honda Motor Company.
We are not making transportation, we are making freedom. A machine that costs so little that anyone can own it, and needs so little that anyone can maintain it. That is what Japan needs right now. That is what we make. And profit? Profit follows freedom.
Focus on the freedom.
He needed capital. He wrote an open letter to every bicycle shop owner in Japan, 18,000 in total, telling them that he had a solution to get the country moving again. 3,000 of them responded with money. His partner Takeo Fujisawa handled the business side, investment, marketing, distribution, because Soichiro had learned in the early Hamamatsu days that he was a better engineer than businessman, and Fujisawa was better at everything Soichiro wasn't. In 1958, Soichiro and Fujisawa toured Germany and watched Europeans ride lightweight mopeds and small motorcycles everywhere, to work, to market, to school. They flew home and Soichiro went to his design team with something new.
I want a motorcycle so simple that a woman in a dress can ride it, so light that a student can afford it, so reliable that it never needs a mechanic. I want it to be so friendly that anyone who sees it on the street smiles.
That's not how motorcycles are designed, Honda-san.
Motorcycles are built for power. Motorcycles are built for power. Motorcycles are built for men who already ride motorcycles. I want to build for everyone who doesn't.
The result was the Super Cub, launched in 1958 at a price of $295, a quarter of what any comparable American motorcycle cost. It won the Emperor's Prize. It sold in numbers nobody in the industry thought possible. But when Fujisawa decided to take the Super Cub to the United States, he faced a problem that had nothing to do with engineering. In America, motorcycles meant outlaws. Black leather, criminal gangs, the wrong side of every town. The motorcycle was not a product with a perception problem. The motorcycle was a symbol, and it was the wrong symbol.
We want to sell in the United States. Nationwide, the motorcycle market here is small, and the image is terrible. These are not products for normal people. That is exactly what we intend to change. How? By selling to normal people and showing them on our advertising.
The campaign that followed ran in Life magazine, Time magazine, and eventually the Academy Awards. The headline was 7 words: "You meet the nicest people on a Honda. Not outlaw riders, not rebellious youth. A postman, a student, a mother. Clean clothes, smiling faces, ordinary life." The campaign changed the way an entire country thought about motorcycles. By 1970, Honda had sold more than 500,000 units in North America alone. Harley-Davidson and Triumph watched their home markets shrink around them.
It isn't just that they're buying the motorcycle. They're buying the idea of the motorcycle. That's what we sold them. Good. Now let's make the motorcycle better.
He raced. Of course he raced. Soichiro Honda had been racing since he was 17 years old, and no business partnership, no investor relationship, no government official could persuade him that racing was anything other than the most efficient engineering education in existence. He attended the Isle of Man TT, the most prestigious motorcycle race in the world, in 1954, and came home with a conviction bordering on fury.
The German and Italian bikes are producing 3 times our horsepower from the same number of cylinders. 3 times. That is not a gap. That is a statement about how little we know. We start over. We haven't even finished this design cycle. We start over.
Honda returned to the Isle of Man TT in 1959 and won the manufacturer's team prize. By 1961, Honda won the race outright. The company that had embarrassed itself on its first international outing in 1954 had become the dominant force in international motorcycle racing in less than a decade, because every time a competitor set a benchmark, Soichiro brought it home and nailed it to his engineer's workshop wall.
Mr. Honda, Japan already has Toyota and Nissan. The automobile market here is established. We don't need another manufacturer. With respect, the customer will decide what Japan needs, not the government. You will be competing against companies much larger and better established than yours. Yes, that's what makes it interesting.
Honda's first Formula One car, the RA271, debuted at the 1964 Belgian Grand Prix. 1 year later, at the 1965 Mexican Grand Prix, Honda achieved its first Formula One victory. The Honda Civic launched in 1972 and became one of the best-selling cars in the world, partly through engineering and partly because the CVCC engine Honda developed allowed people to drive further on less fuel at the exact moment the 1970s oil crisis made fuel the only thing anyone was thinking about.
Every manufacturer told us our engine concept was impossible. They said it couldn't meet emission standards without a catalytic converter.
I told my engineers to make it possible anyway. If you accept what is impossible, you become its prisoner.
He retired in 1973, handing the company to a new generation of engineers. He died on August the 5th, 1991, having watched the Super Cub he designed become the single best-selling motor vehicle in the history of human transportation. More than 100 million units sold. No car, no truck, no machine of any kind has ever been built in greater numbers. He had no formal engineering degree. He forged his father's stamp on his school reports as a child. He was told he had no talent for mechanical work. He was laughed at in a university classroom for piston ring designs he would eventually perfect. He lost his factory to bombs, lost it again to an earthquake, and rebuilt from an old warehouse with 12 men and a surplus army engine.
Success can only be achieved through repeated failure and introspection. In fact, success represents 1% of your work, which results from the 99% that is called failure.
The boy who chased a Ford Model T down a dirt road in Shizuoka Prefecture in 1914 because his body understood something his mind hadn't formed words for yet. He never stopped chasing. He chased the car. He chased Toyota. He chased Harley Davidson in triumph down a dirt road called America and overtook both of them with a friendly little motorcycle and 7 words in a magazine advertisement. He chased Formula One. He chased the engineers who told him his designs were wrong until he proved they weren't. The most dangerous man in any industry is not the one with the most money, the most factories, or the most powerful government connections. It is the man who already knows what failure costs and has decided that it is a price worth paying again and again and again for as long as it takes. If this story moved, you hit subscribe.